Hello, welcome to today's episode of Juicing the Numbers, your statistics and sports podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And I just remember something major that happened that neither one of us thought of before we started recording. And now that I'm talking, we're going to have to talk about it because it was actually kind of
literally stopped talking 15 seconds ago, Josh. How do you do this to me?
I know. You'd think that with all of the time we spent doing this, we'd be better at it. And let me tell you, no, we're not.
Not even a little. It's embarrassingly poignant how accurate that is.
So the thing that I just remembered that happened like this week, and it's rather major, is that New York is allowing gambling. Finally.
Wow. Actually, I missed that.
Yeah, it was kind of under the radar because it's not fully settled on what it's going to look like. They awarded a contract to a consortium of gambling entities, which I'm going to try to find the list so I can give the full details on who it all is.
Got a list. Here's the order of my list that it's in. It goes Reggie, Jay-Z, Tupac, and Biggie, Andre from Outkast, Jada, Corrupt, Nas, and then me.
Sure.
Your list yet? Eminem, baby. Can't grow up without him.
He's certainly a guy. Oh, fuck you, New York Times. Let me read stuff for free. I don't like you. God damn it, New York Times. Who needs you? The woke mob is finally really coming for the right people. All right, I got it. So the consortium, which is actually weirdly a common word if you deal with RFPs or RFQs a lot. It's kind of odd how I've never heard that word used in context as much as reading contract bids. But anyway, the consortium consists of DraftKings, MGM Resorts International, Bally, and FanDuel. It appears as there's another group which includes Caesars, Wynn Resorts, Points Bet, Rush Street, and Resorts World, which I thought I had read already, but I guess I didn't. And yeah, so that'll be mobile betting, which so far up to this point has been illegal in New York, but legal in Jersey, and very, very recently, I think just a few weeks ago, became legal in Connecticut as well. And that's kind of a big deal. And it's proven so with its legality in New Jersey, since New Jersey has logged more money being placed on sports gambling in the past year than Las Vegas. It has become huge, which is a shock to nobody. And it's because Jersey borders New York and borders New York City. You get, I'm sure, some quantity of people who hop on over the border, place their bets for the day, and hop back if you feel like it. You can take the path. It's cheap. You hop on, you get off in like fucking Montclair, you hop back on. You can, or just fucking Newark. You don't gotta ride to Montclair. I just like the Montclair. I mean, like literally the PATH train costs, or like the light rail. I mean, you can hop on the light rail for like what, $2? Like it's nothing. Place, $70,000 in bets, which negates that $2 pretty fucking quick. And then just leave. And then if you win, you collect your earnings. And if you lose, go fuck yourself. The difference being that you can't do any live betting at that point because you have to stay in Jersey to do that. And I would assume most people would rather watch sports from the comfort of their home than anywhere else. And so now New York, you're going to be allowed to do that, which, how do you feel?
It's one of those things where it's like, one, I don't live in New York, so it really doesn't do much for me as far as changing my day-to-day life.
Oh, hold on. I just saw a number that's going to blow your mind. You ready? I hate to cut you off, but I was reading down this article. I have to, how much money was placed on sports gambling in New Jersey in just the month of September?
No.
$1 billion.
Fuck.
That is just the month of September, and that is just the state of New Jersey. $1 billion on sports betting.
I don't love that.
Anyway, sorry.
That's
Please continue.
ridiculous. What was I saying? I'm not someone who is against gambling being legal, sports gambling being legal. It's really just one of those things where I don't like how much they're investing as the proprietors of the sport that's being bet on. I don't love it. It's just I'm sick of it. Like, I'm sick of it being what we saw this week in the NFL with the Bears defensive end. I forget his name, but regardless, the referees called in completely subjective foul on a play that they personally interfered with and changed the course of the game because of it. And when you have the ability to change the rules that are being bet on and control what rules are enforced for the game being bet on, and then now are directly investing in the game or in the betting on said games, that's a major conflict of interest for me, and I don't like it.
It's a weird part of society. So, like, I voted recently in the New Jersey elections. You know, they happen every year. New Jersey had a gubernatorial race, a lot of turnout, and two of the questions on the ballot were about adding an amendment to the Jersey Constitution about being able to gamble on college sports, which was wild because, again, I always ask my friends if anybody sees these questions ahead of time because they always feel like a shock to me. I like to think I'm relatively on top of things in my life and in my state, and I never know what the fuck these additional questions are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know. And it's a weird thing to have to think about. And I'm not going to reveal my votes because that shit fucking matter, and y'all can pound sand up your ass. But it's weird to have to think about how additional money influxed into a sector, whatever sector it is, can affect how we view it, how we consume it, and how the people producing it or taking part in it are affected. At the same time, I think we as a greater American society like to view money as an extension of free speech. And so there can be a lot of those two sides of things kind of colliding. I would think that if it's particular to the college sports one, the fact that college kids can now get money based on using their likeness, maybe, eases some of that discomfort if you were to vote yes on that a little bit or whatever. But it's still icky, I think, at its core. And I think that sports gambling in general, especially with how readily society will make changes to accommodate gambling, that it won't make to accommodate anything that actually matters. Someone having to deal with the strife of hopping over the Verrazano Bridge on my Sunday morning to place my bets in Perth Amboy instead of Staten Island is not equivalent to people who don't like the Atlanta baseball team's name because they think it's racist.
Yep.
And yet, which one's going to change quicker? And with less vitriol, it'll be sports gambling. Added into the fact that it can also be an addiction, and
Absolutely.
that's really tough. So, if we, as a society, feel as though sports gambling will not destroy our society, which I guess it's currently not to a major extent. I mean, Jersey has it, and it's not bedlam in the streets. It's tough to get a long-term perspective on it since it is still very new here. But but it's not a Mad Max style chaos land.
Which it
But
should be.
which, as we all should be. I would love to wear some more skulls. Love a good skull on my skull. Double stacking them skulls. But
Although
it's
I'm not a big
weird.
fan of desert dry air, so might not be the best.
No, it's like choosing to live in Arizona. Why would you do that to yourself?
Golf year round.
I mean, technically, yes, but it's also 110 degrees and life is pain.
Also true. Yeah.
Just live in Georgia. Does it get cold in Georgia?
The devil goes there, so I doubt it.
Yeah, but he seems like a pretty chill guy. Who knows?
Got me there.
So some additional facts on this from what we've got so far. The proprietors of the mobile sports gambling will be required to pay a 51% tax on profits made from gambling, which I'm seeing it laid out a couple of different ways, and obviously more details will come out. I'm seeing that as being an over 10 years number, or I'm not sure if that's annual. So I guess we'll see if it's spread over 10 years. That's really, I guess, not a huge deal. If it's annual, maybe it's a little bit of a bigger deal. I don't really know how it shakes out. And honestly, taxes are very dodgy in the first place. Who the fuck knows how that works? If you think it's high, I think go fuck yourself. No one has to gamble. No one does. I mean, options trading should also be taxed to like 75%. It's not creating anything. It's like suck my balls. Who cares? If you want to do it, that's great. If you want to be a proprietor of it, that's great. You're not actually creating anything. So once again, lick my balls. And clearly
They're
9 companies decided they worth
more
it.
money. It just makes everyone more money when they do it, Josh.
It's a self-sustaining economy. I don't know how the US economy works.
How does 3 grown men in their mid-30s not have $800 between them? Well, the economy.
Yeah, it's tough to know how much it's gonna matter. I would also be willing to bet, which is fun turn of phrase to use now, that most people doing this are people who saw a Fangraphs ad that had a guy they liked in it and are downloading it not knowing what they're doing and placing like $5 to $10 bets here and there. Chances are, if you already had a problem, you were doing some sketchy shit. You had a bookie. You were 1930s-ing it up and had a bookie who was a guy with a name like Lefty that you met at some weird fucking bar downtown and did business in Cashola. Like, strong chance that you had some weird hookup that was already going down, or you were one of those dudes who like flew out to Vegas or went onto a reservation. Obviously, when you introduce more opportunities for addictive activities to come into play, there's a high propensity that more people find them and then do those things. But again, it's tough to get a feel for how much we want to regulate that as a society. Like drinking we wouldn't prohibit it. I don't know. It'll be weird to see. We did try. And then we had another amendment. We were like, no.
No, we should not do that. This is getting outrageous.
Doesn't affect you and me. Our states already have gambling.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like this is going to be a very widely accepted law change over the next handful of years. New York changing it is probably, the last major state to allow it. Unless California doesn't have it, that would be huge. But like outside of those two, Nevada has it, New Jersey has it, a lot of big name states with a lot of gambling have it. Yeah, Illinois. So I don't think it's a major discussion point just because it was inevitable.
But, it'd also be interesting, as you mentioned with the Bears game, how our view of league ownership over refereeing and umpiring changes as there is more outside money involved. Because, I mean, if it comes down to, I don't know, a controversial play, but like between the Bears and the Steelers, as of right now, in a world where there's no sports gambling, so, going back to like the 70s where you actually had to like go to Vegas or know a guy, the most of the money involved is probably the owner of the Steelers and the owner of the Bears money. And let's be real, chances are those people don't give a fuck. They're swimming in cash. They probably don't give a shit. They might care that their team didn't win that game, but in terms of the specifics of it, they probably don't care that much because they're not going to win or lose $10,000 based on the outcome. But if there is a whole fucking cell of people who are highly scrutinizing the game, some of whom might end up having a lot of money because, if you're living out in the Hamptons, you're not crossing over to Jersey to go do this shit. That is
you're flying back to Jersey to do it
on the private helicopter. I'm walking into the Teterboro Airport. Yeah. Which
you joke. I've seen it. It's just how they roll out there. It's ridiculous.
I know, and I hate it. I hate it so much. But anyway, if you were thinking of, if you're a billionaire, the Hamptons, and you wanted to casually do it at your home on your phone, casually drop like 5K here and there for the lulz. Your friends are doing it. Why not? Enough people like that do it. Maybe the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, maybe they start to care about how refereeing goes, depending. Who knows? But like you said, that'll be interesting to see how it shakes out as well.
Man, I am just so excited for the CBA negotiations. It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how all that extra money, how the players view their worth, because now they're not just generating dollars for teams and their TV deals and whatnot. They're also generating a whole extra business, worth of lots of money. There's the appropriate quantity. It's lots of money.
Oh boy, it'll be fun. That'll be 15 podcasts worth of discussion.
I mean, if it's going to be research papers worth of discussion.
Yeah.
Not written by us.
No.
don't get it twisted. But
I think no one listening to this would ever even expect that.
Nor should they.
No.
So shall we open with some football talk?
Sure.
We didn't have it written down. Did you have anything you wanted to say about that Steelers play? Bears play, I should say.
There were so many ridiculous calls throughout the game that I don't think it really mattered too much. It really just comes down to, I am upset that we won the game the way we did. Kind of upset we won the game to begin with, but I don't think it changes either of these teams' season.
Oh, well, probably not. I think with the stuff like missed calls and general bad refereeing, people bitching and moaning doesn't really, it's taken as frustration, less so than the need of a change per se. This one definitely feels a little bit more egregious because of the way the ref acted, but when you come, like you said, when it comes down to all the other bullshit plays that happen in a game, it's how much it affects the outcome is difficult, and without an actual real ability to affect change from the NFL standpoint due to the way refs are handled via the union. I mean, what the fuck do you want them to do about it? So,
change how the rules are written, or just tell the refs to call it a certain way like they do with a bunch of other things.
Oh yeah, and I think it's more so like this guy was wrong, and that's why I'm not trying to like say the NFL is pristine and it's the unions who are wrong. It's that this guy was a dick, and I don't think that the NFL can they fine a ref?
Maybe, maybe it's just not um public information. I don't know. Um, I would love if they allowed, penalty calls to be reviewed by New York. It just makes so much sense to have it set up that way so that there can be some sort of accountability. Um, but who
Yeah, and
knows if we'll
that's
ever
one of
see
the
it.
annoying fucking things that I always hear from people is it's like, oh, you don't want them reviewing every play. The game would take 9 hours. No, it wouldn't. No, it would not. You get
Guess
like
what?
8 dude. Fuck it. Get 11 guys. 11 guys. Everyone focuses on 2 players. You wouldn't
Mhm.
even need that many fucking guys. Fuck it. 22 guys. Everyone focus on a player. You know how little that would fucking cost you? 22 dudes? And in the grand scheme of how much the goddamn NFL makes, and again, it would not have to be that many dudes. Just watching the game, making sure it's right. A call down takes no time at all. It takes no
And
time at all.
there's plenty of commercial breaks where you can say, "Hey, we're gonna move this one up a little bit. Here's a commercial break. We'll play through the punt on the next, change of possession. Move it up. Give them, 3-4 minutes to actually review it, look it over, and make that decision. It doesn't have to be by the time it takes the ref to place the ball and move on. Like there's
Yeah, I don't even
just
think it would
so
take.
much time to fit these in.
I don't think it'd even take that much time because, in theory, all you'd have to do is have however many booth refs you think you need, and then an
Yeah.
on-field guy who is the straight communicator, a guy who's always got the headset on in case there's something that happens, who then goes out to reports up to the head ref and just lets him know. I mean,
Yeah.
really, like if we're talking modern day communication, like it would not be a huge stretch to try to work the logistics of this shit out at all.
It's really like, hey, do they want to fix this? I don't know.
Right. And that's where, because I don't think the NFL wants to be constantly showing up. It's refs. I don't think the refs want to be constantly showing up. It's the politics of it. I would think.
And the
Plus the money.
conspiracy theorist in me is absolutely like, yeah, maybe there is some aspect of them that wants to control the outcomes of these games potentially. Who knows? Would I doubt it if that is something that came out in 10 years? No, not really. Nope.
Who would give that order? Who
Roger
would
Goodell.
go to? Well, well, what would Goodell's motivation be for making the Bears lose?
Uh, betting, lobbying, money. Just money.
Catchphrases, hot terms. Here's some buzzwords.
Exactly. I mean, seriously, like if
The woke
there was
mafia.
serious gamblers, yeah, like it's I think it's harder to convince me that Goodell would be willing to put that much at risk rather than there is someone willing to offer him an insane amount of money to fix a game.
Oh shit! I just apparently this is a total pivot because I was getting ready for our next topic. Matt
Pivot?
Nagy is from Jersey.
Okay.
Matt Nagy's from Denellen.
Next stop, Dunellen.
All right.
If you've ever rode or NJ Transit.
That's right.
PA Transit, take you right to New York Penn. Jesus.
Damn, that's funny. Yeah, fuck Denellen, bitch. I actually I've never been to Denellen. What the fuck is
I've
in Denellen?
seen it through a train window, and boy, it just did not inspire too much hope. But
Nah,
whatever.
you're between fucking Plainfield and Boundbrook. That is the desert. Get out of here. Fuck out of here, Denellen. You can't even be Piscataway. Anyway, so Kyle Shanahan is on the hot seat a little bit with his time in San Francisco, not inspiring great confidence. So far in his 5 seasons there, he has amassed a single winning season. the team's 2019 campaign, in which they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs. They had a 13-3 record that season. Every other season starting in 2017, his team went 6-10, 4-12, 13-3, 6-10. And so far this season, they are at 3-5. That gives him a total win-loss record of 32-40. And people have been comparing his record to the record of Matt Nagy, who it seems is very much so also on the hot seat. And Matt Nagy's record in Chicago by season, starting in 2018, his 4 years there, 12-4, 8-8, 8-8, and 3-6, which gives him a win-loss record of 31-26. So only one fewer win in a full season shorter of a tenure, and 14 fewer losses, which, with what I think we would all agree is a significantly worse team on paper. So, Corwin, I remember how happy you were that Kyle Shanahan got his head coaching job and how much hope you had in him at that time. And before we started recording, you said that you refused to believe this and accept this. How's this making you feel?
I am holding my faith in Kyle Shanahan offensively. I think they are very much missing Robert Saleh this year. I think they are. I mean, there's a lot of injuries every single season. We've seen that. He's had good defenses in the past and shitty quarterback play. He's had good quarterback play and some defensive collapses. I think because it seems to be a whole bunch of different things adding up to failures and not one singular gaping hole, like singular flaw that you could point to and say, wow, Matt Nagy is fucking awful at calling offensive plays. Well, yes, he is. And that's not really something you can kind of just overcome with the system you have in place. It's just Kyle Shanahan is very good at what he does, which is offensive scheming and offensive, play calling. It's kind of other things that are falling apart around him, whether it be team health or just certain players not being able to perform, certain, bad contracts. And I know he has a tremendous amount of control with that front office. He's definitely at fault for some of that. I'm just saying those things I think are easier fixed than being, say, just a bad coach. So I don't think it's crisis time yet, but there's definitely room for improvement.
For reference, the San Francisco offensive ranks versus the league, of course, since Kyle Shanahan has taken the helm of head coach. I'll do yards and points. They were the 12th ranked offense for yards in 2017, 20th for points. 2018, 16th ranked for yards, 21st for points. 2019, 4th for yards, 2nd for points. 2020, 15th for yards, 21st for points. And 2021, 13th in yards, 18th in points. So they've been the top half of the league in point scoring a single time since Kyle Shanahan has been in San Francisco.
All right, fuck off, dude. How about that?
So lick my balls. At the same time, the defensive ranks also look like shit. In terms, again, of yards and points, 2017, 24th in yards, 25th in points. 2018, 13th in yards, 28th in points. 2019, 2nd in yards, 8th in points. 2020, 5th in yards, 17th in points. And 2021, 8th in yards and 25th in points. So also, not great, but neither side of the ball looks especially stellar outside of 2019.
Yeah. Coming at me?
No, because if you look at Matt Nagy, it's so much worse. Matt Nagy, his time as a head coach in Chicago, 2018, 21st in yards, 9th in points, top 10 Mr. Nagy, and then boy, does it get painful. 2019, 29th in yards, 29th in points. 2020, 26th in yards, 22nd in points. And so far in 21, 31st in yards and 30th in points. The saving grace has been that defense, which was phenomenal for the first few years. In 2018, they were third in yards and first in points. 2019, eighth in yards, fourth in points. 2020, 11th in yards, 14th in points. And 2021, 13th in yards and 22nd in points. So this is the first time in his tenure that some phase of that defense has been below league average, which is just great. But yeah, that offense is, granted, it's a Mitch Trubisky offense for most of that, but whoo, boy, that is ugly.
That's the Matt Nagy I know and love.
Oh man, I kind of want to look at Adam Gase's rankings now, but I also don't want to hurt myself.
I think you should.
Let's see, Matt Nagy's team. No, Nagy, Adam Gase. Yep. Oh, yep. God, how did he get the Jets job? Oh man. I could read a bunch of them because he was a head coach in Miami for 3 years. I'm just going to do the Jets. In 2019, the Jets were 32nd in offensive yards, 31st in points. And then 2020, they were 32nd in yards and 32nd in points. Oh my God, it hurts. Life is pain. We should all die. Defense 2019, 7th in yards, 16th in points. And then 2020, 24th in yards, 26th in points. Oh my God, the Jets. God, we suck. We suck so hard. But anyway, we'll talk about the Jets sucking in a moment. Should San Francisco be in the hunt for a new head coach?
Who are you going to get that's better?
Let's leave that part to the side for a moment, which I know is relatively unfair. Because no, you have to know a comp to truly be able to give an answer. But is Matt? I keep wanting to say Matt Nagy. I don't know. Matt Nagy is not a name that rolls off the tongue, and for some reason, it's just caught in my fucking craw. But like what's leaving you with hope for your boy Kyle Shanahan?
The fact that I still believe in his offensive play calling and scheme. I think he's shown that he can still put out an incredible run game, even when it's Keith Mitchell at running back for the team. I mean, he's got a rookie QB that it's going to be hard to fire Kyle Shanahan after he drafts Trey Lance without really giving him a chance to work with Trey Lance, and that his previous quarterback has been, Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. And don't get me wrong, there's definite blame to be had for the fact that he wanted those quarterbacks. Drafted two of them, traded for Garoppolo. It really is just, you give him time to work with, getting his system in place and getting his guys healthy to implement the system. And I think you can't have that conversation, like you said, with the genuine fact that you can't ignore that, like, there's not a whole lot of exceptional candidates at head coach right
now. It should also be noted that Kyle Shanahan's current contract runs him through 2025, that he just signed an extension on last season.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be tough to have to just eat that if you're a team, both in terms of dollars as well as having to admit you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But
and it's one of those things too where he runs such a specific, power run system that if you were to bring a different offensive coach in, or if you were to bring in, a defensive minded coach with his own offensive coordinator, you would have to change out, Trey Lance would not work as well in that system most likely as it would in Kyle Shanahan's. There's a bunch of players there that would not work as well, and you'd have to basically just tear the team down and start over when, yeah, you've had, a lot of pretty good draft picks the last couple of years. You haven't been playing all that great, but starting from scratch is still a, major step back. They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, how much does that mean with how fast team rosters change at this point in time? Because
I think
honestly,
it's
I
still
wouldn't be.
the man still took you to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Just saying.
Yeah, and fucking what's his face in Jacksonville took that team to the AFC Championship game with Blake Bortles. His ass ain't there anymore. Whatever his fucking name was, Doug. Is it Doug?
Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson.
Gus Bradley, Doug Peterson, something Marone maybe. There's a bunch of coaches there around then that just were fucking awful.
Was it Doug Marone?
Could be.
Fucking who cares? It's Jacksonville. Y'all don't matter.
True.
It'll be wild because
Yep.
the injuries thing takes you a long way, but even after phases of injury plague seasons, I think teams still look at opportunities to bring in someone who makes things work. You hear now and then success stories coming out of injury plague seasons as coach manages to find something in these scrappy upstarts that wasn't there before, and whether those mean anything or not is tough. NFL head coaching positions also often feel like they are prone to turnover for reasons that are within and without their control. Is it Todd Bowles' fault that the Jets sucked the entire time there? Not really. I mean, we all knew it was time to go because the Jets were making organizational changes, and there was an organizational reason for him to go, try to introduce a new system and try to find new players that fit that system. So there's always, I think, opportunity for deserved or undeserved early termination. But you got to think that the Niners have probably more patience than your average sports media proclaimers and consumers have, because why wouldn't they? Right. Also, it's their money. They're going to be a lot stingier with it than you and I would be if there were any quick-tempered Niner fans listening to this. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. And if their players are going to be injured and their options are to either keep paying the one salary to coach an injured team or pay two salaries to coach an injured team, they're going to just pay one and just hope things get better. So, yeah, consider that shit too. But at least they didn't get Gruden.
At least they didn't get Gruden, and then Henry Ruggs, and then Damon Arnett did. They're having a bad season.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Jets then briefly, as they made mild news a splash, a drip for the Jets. It wasn't bad news. That's a positive, I suppose. And that is that they named Mike White as the starting quarterback for this upcoming game against the Bills at home on Sunday the 14th. Zach Wilson, I believe, is I think potentially capable of starting at that point. It might be a week early or so. So probably not a huge bit of news, but it does lead you to wonder, with how well he has been doing, Mike White, what do you do? This is not going to be a winning season for the Jets. There's no chance. They're missing wide receivers. Their O-line is inconsistent. The defense is having problems. Marcus May is now out for the season too. So in theory, this would be a plenty fine year to go ahead and let Zach Wilson just kind of figure it out. However, they have the opportunity to rest him a little bit more. Mike White might make relatively interesting trade bait if he manages to perform at a decent enough level for the course of the season for an off-season acquisition, a move around in the draft or something like that. But do you think they treat him as a long-term solution?
I don't know how you can answer this question after one really good game. One game.
2 games. It's been 2 games.
Did he start? I thought he left with an injury.
Oh yeah, technically he did. Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
I think he only had like 10 attempts, 6 completions, something like that. Like something like
Actually, yeah, it was
okay,
low.
but not
I'll get the exact numbers for you.
significant. I don't know, man. I don't think you can just because you spent so much draft capital on Zach Wilson.
11 attempts, 7 completions, 95 yards,
Mm.
and a touchdown.
You know, I could easily see this being not easily. I could see this being like an RG3 situation, almost identically. Didn't Wilson get drafted second overall, or was that third?
Second.
Second. So it very easily could be a, you know, similar Kirk Cousins situation where it's like, all right, this guy's really good. We should hold on to him, you know, give Zach Wilson every chance to prove himself. But if it doesn't work, don't sign him past his rookie deal. Hold on to Mike White, you know, see what he can do for you. But I just don't see him getting the full nod, you know, with Zach Wilson there. Maybe they drag out. Excuse me. Maybe they drag out Zach Wilson's injury and his time, you know, maybe they put him on an injured reserve, you know, hey, we need to make sure you're extra healthy, you know, and actually give Mike White a chance and get Zach Wilson ready before he comes back right away. And I don't know. I don't know if the Jets have already activated 2 players off the IR. I don't know, but at the same time, you gotta give the ball to Wilson and let him earn his chance to be the starter because giving up on a second overall pick after a handful of games is a tough look, especially for the Jets.
Right. And I would agree. And I don't think they're going to. Like at some point when Zach Wilson's fully healthy and they have the ability to really not rush him back, I'm sure he's going to get his starts as usual. But man, is it wild looking at the difference in how they performed. And I understand Mike White is being bolstered by a game that literally sent part of his uniform to the Hall of Fame. But looking at the stats so far between the two of them. So Zach Wilson, 6 games, Mike White, 3 games, 2 of which he was the starter for. Zach Wilson has had 181 attempts and 104 completions. That's a completion percent of 57.5. Mike White, 88 attempts, 64 completions. That's a 72.7% completion percent. Zach Wilson has 1,168 yards on the season. Mike White has 702, only 400 fewer yards in 40 fewer completions, 100 fewer attempts, and half the games. Oh boy. Mike White also already has more passing touchdowns than Zach Wilson. He has 5 to Wilson's 4. Half the interceptions, but you can chalk that up to how many attempts he's made. Wilson has 9 so far. White has 4. And the rate stats look pretty fucking bad, pretty fucking ugly. Mike White yards per attempt 8. Zach Wilson 6.5. Adjusted yards per attempt, Mike White 7.1, Zach Wilson 4.2. Yards per completion is actually in favor of Wilson, as Mike White has 11, Wilson has 11.2. Yards per game, White 234, Wilson 94.7. Quarterback rating, not for Mike White 95.9, Zach Wilson 63.5, QBR White 60.4, Zach Wilson 28. Yeah, it's you can go to I can look at the advanced stats now too, and it gets 0% better. So again, you know, Mike White's had getting bolstered by one ludicrous game and then a couple 2 other shorter strong outings, and Zach Wilson is a rookie who is testing the waters, testing his own physical capabilities and figuring out an NFL defense. But boy, is it night and day.
Small sample size.
For sure. For sure. But still,
Yeah.
I like my quick takes, my hot takes, my hot cakes.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just ugly.
I know you are, but what am I?
Interestingly enough, the just poking through the advanced stats a little bit more, Zach Wilson is putting a lot more air under his ball. So he's definitely taking a lot of risk. The completed air yards per completion. So we've talked about this on the show in the past. If you throw the ball forward 1 yard and then your wide receiver or running back runs for 18 more yards after that, you get 19 passing yards. But like, did you pass for 19 yards or did the other guy make you look really good? So air yards is literally just the yards that were accomplished in the air. Zach Wilson has 7.3 completed air yards per completion to Mike White's 4.3. Zach Wilson obviously has more intended air yards, which is just a counting stat because he has 100 more attempts. So it's not really fair to judge based on that. His completed air yards per pass attempt, 4.2 to Mike White's 3.2. So, yeah, the yards after catch is what really shows. The yards after catch per completion, Zach Wilson 4, Mike White 6.6, which almost makes you wonder if the way the offense is being run under Mike White could be something that Zach Wilson could work with better. I'm not sure if they're doing something different to try to help Mike White out and it's just having fantastic success, or Zach Wilson has been rebuffing those smaller passes in favor of finding out his own limitations, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
I can't make I just can't
I know.
argue one way or the other after a game.
A game and a half, essentially. I know. All right. So Odell Beckham Jr. cleared waivers in a move that shocked both Corwin and I. Obviously, we mentioned there is money that is attached to his name that I guess teams don't want to pay. Which fucking sure, man. That's how cheap we're gonna be about it. Fucking sure. But it still feels pretty surprising that he would end up clearing waivers and is now a free agent.
You have any ideas on where he would sign?
So every tweet I saw, which all used the phrase honing in, and it was weird that every tweet I saw used the phrase honing in. I'm now going to start believing in a conspiracy theory around sports media, that it's all just one guy. It's all one dude. He writes every tweet. That's my new conspiracy theory. It's all your least favorite sports writer. He writes everybody's stuff. But I saw that he was honing in on the Chiefs, the Packers, and some other team. I don't give a fuck. Now, apparently the Patriots are making a push for him. Who cares? I gotta say, not in a disrespectful way to Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ. It's just, we talked about this the last episode. His time in Cleveland sucked, and it could have sucked for any reason. Who really gives a shit at this point? But he's gonna be kind of a flyer, and it's tough to look at that guy and say he is going to absolutely be the difference between the Patriots making the wild card or not. Or he is going to be the difference for the Chargers running away with the division or not. That's tough. So where he goes, I don't know, and I don't care. But good for him.
Kind of in that boat, just don't really care.
No. I think it would be funniest if he went to the Rams to really just complete their hey, at some point, one of these guys made an all-star game kind of roster. Or Pro Bowl, I should say. Like their entire team is expensive people who have all made Pro Bowls like somewhere, and we just got who we could. Their team is those like memes that social media accounts post where it's like $5, $4, $3, $2, $1. Build your team. And it's all Pro Bowlers. And you go, well, I mean, any team with all these guys would be good. And then they just did that. So having OBJ there seems like it would also make sense.
Because why not?
Yeah. That's what I always did a kick out of those like bracket things. Cause it's always like the guys in the $1 tier are always also really fucking good players. Like
Mhm.
if you built a team of just the $1 guys, your team would probably be pretty fun. Especially like the MLB ones, like build a rotation, and the $1 guys are all like a bunch of
Clayton
like
Kershaw.
second starters, or like old like aces, and it's like but guess what? If you put all 5 of these guys on the same team, that'd be a fucking great team.
Mhm.
So that seems like it was the Ram strategy, but I don't care where he goes. I will care once he's there to see how he does, but I do not care where he goes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if he ends up someplace really cool, okay, that would be really cool to see. It could be really fun to talk about. If he ends up somewhere just meaningless, okay, sure. It really doesn't change me watching football this season in really any way.
No. It'll also be interesting just to see because I was doing some thinking about it this past week, and the more I think about OBJ wanting out of Cleveland, the more I just continue to not blame him. Because you got to think whether he sucked, and sucked is being harsh, but fuck, who cares? It's easier to go with that. Whether he sucked in Cleveland because he just didn't have it, or whether he sucked because of the play calling, chances are if you weren't being successful in your job and you used to be really good at your job when you were somewhere else and you wanted to be better at your job, you might also go
Mhm.
find a different place to do your job. The more I really don't fault him for being like, look, clearly you're not getting out of this what you want. I'm not getting out of this what I want. Let's part ways here. I think I get it. So, but it'll be interesting to see if he goes somewhere else. Can he perform even a modicum better than he did in Cleveland to show that, like, hey, maybe that was the reason, or is he just, for whatever bizarre reason, totally shot as a player? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Uh, Andrew Heaney signed a contract with the Dodgers. Do you care?
Not really. It's not like he'll be healthy anyway.
I don't give a fuck about Andrew Heaney. $8.5 million. You take a chance on that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're injured so much anyway. If he lives on your IR, okay, you're the Dodgers. You have $8.5 million to spend on a guy like that when
Plus,
he's
those contracts
healthy,
are insured.
right? And if he's healthy, okay, you have Andrew Heaney, and he'll fill in as a middle of the rotation guy when you have 4 injured guys on the IR.
I gotta say though, if I was an Angels fan and he like killed it on the Dodgers and finished top 20 in Cy Young
Just
voting, I would
unbearable,
be livid. I would be absolutely
unbearable.
livid.
It's just unreal. Like I almost expect it because of how both the Dodgers and the Angels just work. No surprise whatsoever, and it would be heartbreaking.
Especially because guys like you and me say every year the Angels should take chances on flyer pitchers because their pitching sucks. And they totally could have signed Andrew Heaney to $8.5 million. And yeah, they could have. But the funny part would be that they've been giving Andrew Heaney a shot for like a fucking decade, and it just never worked. And so you couldn't even blame them for not being the team to give him another shot because they have been giving this Jekyll and Hyde ass motherfucker shots for like whatever it's been, 5 years or some shit. It would just be so funny if he could turn it around somewhere else, but whatever. There was actually one more football topic before we do the very, very brief thing we're going to be doing on baseball. Sam Darnold sucks again. And I say again because there was a point in the beginning of the season, the first 4 games of the year, where he genuinely looked like Christian McCaffrey is the answer to my questions. Matt Rule is a god. And I am not as bad at football as you all thought I was. And I was sitting here. I remember like week 1 after they tore up the Jets. I was like, I'm happy for the dude. And then a couple weeks later, I was like, good for him. And I still don't wish ill upon him, but I got to say, it is a little bit cathartic to know that, like, hey, maybe the Jets weren't the problem. Um, I'm going to share with you Sam Darnold's quarterback rating by game and just witness this demise. This is not cumulative. This is individual game. Week 1 against the Jets, 102. That's pretty fucking good. It's also the high watermark of the season. Week 2 against New Orleans, 99.1. That's also very good. That's the second best it'll be all season. You will notice a pattern quickly. Week 3 against Houston, 95.7. Week 4 against Dallas, 85.5. So far, even though it's trending down, that's a good season. That's a very nice season. But wait, it gets worse. Week 5 against Philadelphia, 44.3. He had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 3 sacks, and had only 177 air yards. Just woof. Week 6 against Minnesota, 55.6. Nice little bounce back as he had only 1 interception that game. Week 7 against the Giants, 57.4. We're improving. Week 8 against Carolina, 69.6. We're getting there. Week 9 against New England, 26.3. As he threw no touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And in his last, 5 games, he has more interceptions than touchdowns. He has not thrown a touchdown or gotten touchdown of any kind since he doesn't have any rushing touchdowns in this time frame either. He has not scored a touchdown of some kind since week 6 against Minnesota.
It's just that's the Sam Darnold we saw in New York. Again, we saw the small sample size. We were like, oh God, Sam Darnold is fixed. Look at how great this move looks. Excellent job, Carolina. And boom, a little more time goes by and it's Sam Darnold of old.
Yep. His completion percent is right in line with his career average, 59.5 on the season, 59.7 career average. His touchdowns his interceptions, which leads the NFL with 11, is basically in line with what he's been doing, but that's only going to get worse. He's a real solid chance if he maintains his position as the starting quarterback of passing his career high, which was set in his rookie season with 15 touchdowns. He has 7. That's just awful. That's just so awful. And his quarterback rating on the season so far is still not horrible at 71.3, but 71.3 is not good. And it has been not a gritty 71.3. It's been a very, very horrible 71.3. And that is also the worst of his career so far. Second worst being last year on the 32nd ranked offensive unit Jets. So yuck. Just a lot of yuck.
You just love to hear it. So this
what do they do?
Going back to what the NFL was, I don't even know if we talked about it. We may have the NFL expanding to 18 teams per conference.
Oh, for the postseason?
No,
18 teams per conference. Oh, no, I didn't hear about this.
Oh, yeah. They want to do that. And I guess jumping right back to what I was saying is,
are they going to put
how
more
can
teams?
you do so when you have so few quarterbacks as is quarterbacking all of these teams? It's just, I don't get it.
Yeah, the obvious answer to that is, well, defenses will be worse too. But the problem is how I don't think the drop off in defensive talent is going to be as steep as the drop off in quarterback and offensive talent. I mean, making a completed pass is actually very difficult, like in general. And that's not to discredit the defense. It's just, that's a very hard job. And even with the talent dilution, it's not going to be evenly distributed. So yeah, having 4 more teams, God, I did not know that. That's going to be difficult because you got to look at, who are the backups that impress you right now.
Are there?
Mike White.
Touche. Hey, maybe Zach Wilson could be the backup.
It's a head scratcher. That is but so what the fuck did the Panthers do?
If you have an opportunity in the draft or in free agency, you take it. I don't sell the farm to get one. Just buy some lottery tickets and not buy a major investment type of deal.
As it stands right now, the Carolina Panthers at 4-5 would have the 13th pick in the NFL draft.
That's really not great for a
QB needy teams ahead of them. Detroit would have the first overall pick. Houston would have the second one. Philly has the third overall pick. I don't know if we classify them as quite QB needy yet. I'm not sure we're giving up on what's his face that fast, Jalen Hurts. Washington, the Giants. Oh my God, the Giants right now would have back-to-back picks, 8 and 9. That's hilarious. And potentially Minnesota are all ahead of Carolina in the draft as of the standings today. And it's tough because I'm not sure Carolina's bad enough to lose forever, which shouldn't be described as a problem unless you're trying to get a quarterback in the NFL draft in a decent spot. But man, what the fuck else do these motherfuckers do?
I don't know. PJ Walker, maybe.
Their other quarterback is Philip Walker, who's appeared in 3 games, none of which he's been the starter, and they've allowed him to attempt 15 passes. He's completed 3 of them. So I guess they're sticking with Sam. I fucking guess. But God.
Didn't leave yourself with a whole lot of options.
No, I think they didn't extend Darnold, though, did they? I believe he's done after this season.
I really don't know. I don't think so.
I believe they only picked up his 5th-year option for his rookie contract. I'm going to double check myself.
I'll believe you, yeah.
I'm going to double check myself before I double wreck myself. No, he is under. Yeah, okay. So 2021 was the 4th year of his deal. 2022 was the 5th year. So they have him under contract for 2022 to the small sum of $19 million.
Nothing. It's nothing.
Oh man, that looks like a horrible choice at this point, doesn't it? Ooh boy, yeah. Fuck.
Sucks to suck. Sorry, guys.
The Jets did something right.
Even a blind.
Hang the banner.
Whatever.
An okay trade that made 2 of them in the same offseason, Jamal Adams and Sam Darnold.
Jets are a contender now. What can I say?
The grass is always greener in the Meadowlands.
Very true.
Been
there. I've seen it.
Yeah, it's certainly lush out there on the good old NJ Turnpike. Exit 16 and some letters or whatever it is. It's fucking 16E or W or fucking whatever. I'll go where the GPS tells me to go, folks. Yeah, I don't really have anything creative to say about it. It's just wild to see that kind of drop off. And really, you would think that there's some degree, because I think we all believe that a quarterback who had some level of success in college has the capability of doing it in the NFL. And their first team maybe just wasn't the right fit. The Jets are a disaster of an organization. The play style that he's been asked to do might be a little bit different. Obviously, the change in quality of defense is colossal from college to the NFL, because that's true of every sport going from college to their pro league. But I think if this is any indication, the kid just doesn't have it. I mean, we're talking a totally different organization, different offense, different pieces, a way, way more complete offensive unit than what the Jets had. And he is worse or just as bad as he was in New York.
Yep. I'm pretty willing to call that one. we talk about needing to give guys enough runway before you can give them that boom bust label, before you can make that call. And, you need more than one game for Mike White, but 4 years, 5 years is that's tough.
Honestly, if I'm the Panthers and I've already accepted that 5th-year option, Darnold, you're lining up a fullback.
Yeah, just completely destroy him.
You're just a big, stocky, trunky California kid. Go out there and break some ankles, kiddo.
They need some excuse for why they're not starting him, and we just need to break him so bad that there's no way that we can start him.
You're now the 3rd-string punter. Have fun with that.
Yeah, fucking just your season's over at some point. Just let the guys try out some positions,
He's he'll be in there. So he'll be one of those guys who's in there only for QB sneaks and flea flickers. That's it. He's your wackadoo play guy.
Favorite guy. Heart and soul of any team.
Yeah, or I think, and I almost genuinely mean this, that if I was the Panthers, maybe it's time to experiment around with a Ben Zobrist style player. Make Sam Darnold do a little bit of everything. He's at wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback.
Tim Tebow?
No, Tim Tebow was bad. Oh, Sam Darnold was bad too.
Darn.
Yeah, Tim Tebow was way more athletic. Darnold just looks like a guy.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked plenty about Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow was freaky and weird and full of Jesus and other strange things, but at least he had giant guns. Darnold just has flab, I think. Mono.
Oh, God. Both
His
Mark
small,
Sanchez
disease-ridden
and
body.
Sam Darnold had the absolute best games of their entire careers against Penn State in the Rose Bowl. It's fucking stupid.
At least Sanchez went to 2 AFC championship games. Darnold never got out the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, well. All right, we're going to do this super quick, especially since some things have already been rejected in terms of qualifying offers in the MLB, but figured might as well, since we said we would do something super quick. So here's something super quick. Corwin accepts or rejects qualifying offers. Lightning round. You ready?
I am.
All right. Raciel Iglesias, relief pitcher from the Angels.
How much?
Oh, it's the qualifying offer. So I think it's 18.4 million this season.
Nah. You're the Angels. You have nothing else. You have no other pitching. Yeah.
I would actually also say yes, because there's so many relief pitchers every season that don't have a job. I would probably wait till I got a long-term deal if I was Raciel Iglesias. I don't know. That's a tough one to gauge, but I would take it if I was him. We'll find out. Carlos Correa, shortstop from the Astros.
No.
Fucking no. Justin Verlander, starting pitcher from the Astros.
No.
This is also a big fat no. Oh, sorry, real quick. The Angels did extend a long-term deal to Raciel Iglesias 8 hours ago, a 4-year, $60 million deal.
There you go.
So good for you, Raciel Iglesias. I feel like I've pronounced your name 5 different times now, and I hope one of them was right. Yeah, Justin Verlander.
I've chosen not to say anything.
I know. Justin Verlander should not take the qualifying offer. I know he is old and he's coming off of Tommy John surgery, but he is also a Hall of Fame pitcher, and chances are could get more, or at least
Yankees.
more years. And I'm sure at his age, his frail age, more years would mean something. All right, keeping it pushing. Freddie Freeman, first baseman from the Braves.
No.
No. Robbie Ray, starting pitcher for the Blue Jays.
No.
No. Marcus Semien, second baseman for the Blue Jays.
No.
No. Corey Seager, shortstop for the Dodgers.
No.
No. Chris Taylor, utility player for the Dodgers.
Maybe.
I would say no. Utility
Okay.
players have gotten so much more
Mm, yeah,
cash, I
okay.
guess just cash recently.
Hmm.
Brandon Belt, first baseman for the Giants.
No.
I would probably also say no. He's young. Like he's only 33, which also is
Young.
like, yeah, it's also young for not old, I should say, for first baseman. Like it's not a position that you have to age gracefully at, you know?
Right.
It's not like he's a 33-year-old shortstop. Like if you could probably get a better long-term deal. So whatever. Michael Conforto, outfielder for the Mets. This one's been contentious.
No, no.
So he is a Boris client. So he has already, I know for a fact he's already denied it because if you listen to New York talk radio, I mean, you got to yell about something at 2:00 in the afternoon and your options are pretty limited. So it's an interesting question because Conforto wants a long-term deal where he gets paid $20 million a year. And is Michael Conforto worth a long-term deal where he gets paid $20 million a year? That's an
When
interesting
he's
question.
healthy, sure. I just feel like he's never healthy.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the rub of it. You know, I mean, he was healthy last. Whoa, he's played in way more games in his career than I thought he did.
How many?
Like he hasn't this past season 125. The year before, or 2020 played in 54 games, which shortened season, so he only missed 6 games. Played in 151 in 2019, 153 in 2018, and 2016 and 2017 he played in 109. He really hasn't missed all that much time. I thought he missed way more games in his career than that. But in his time in the league, he has led the National League in absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. His lifetime slash line is 255, 356, 484. That's an OPS of 824 and OPS plus of 124, which is quite good. But you're a corner outfielder, and I'm not sure what that goes for in terms of 20 mil right now. And I don't know what the outfield market looks like. Also, I don't think his defense is good. I think he's bad at that. I don't know.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I could see a team giving him 19 at least. So say no. Why not?
This one's
Bet on
a
yourself.
gamble. I guess we'll have to see. Noah Syndergaard, starting pitcher for the Mets.
No.
Oh, this one for me is an easy yes. He's been
Yeah.
hurt all year.
I feel
And
like the teams are just so
has been
desperate
injury
for.
concerned.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I saw him pitch, but I mean, he's healthy now or very close to that point. I could see a team looking at him and saying, all right, we'll give you 2 years or something like that. But I guess the idea of coming back and proving yourself is worth a minuscule loss and pay over like 2-3 years. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, because
I see
I
what
think
you
the
would do.
problem was it'd have to be a prove it deal kind of no matter what. And you're either
Mhm.
getting I don't think he's beating an $18 million prove it deal. You know, that's really what
No,
it
I
comes
think you're
down
right
to.
there. Yeah.
And he's not at the age of like a Verlander where maybe you'll just take a lower quantity of money in terms of average value to get a few more years because you just want to play. Like, I want to play when I'm 43, so give me a 4-year deal. I don't think Verlander's getting that, but yeah, I think the smart money would be on taking this. I'm not sure, but I think he already has. I'll just double check at some point. Eduardo Rodriguez, starting pitcher for the Red Sox.
No.
Yeah, this one, I think this is the argument that you made for why Cindergard may have taken it. I think Rodriguez shouldn't for that argument's sake. He has missed some time here and there, if barely even, honestly. And starting pitching is always in demand. He can do more, and he is also only fucking 29. Yeah, he can do better. Nick Castellanos, outfielder for the Reds.
No.
He literally just opted out of his fucking contract. There's no reason for him to take this. The Reds just want the compensation pick. And last one, Trevor Story, shortstop for the Rockies.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, fucking no. The players have until November 17th to accept or decline, so all of these will be shaken out within the next week. Chances are most of these players say no, and honestly, it's usually in the team's best interest to give the qualifying offer to players who have a pretty high chance of saying no, because if they wanted a player, they could just pay him, and most of the time they do. But if they want compensation for a player leaving, then they'll hit the qualifying offer on players who have a very high chance of leaving and get a compensational draft pick.
Right.
Which is why Carlos Correa is on this list. It's not a sincere attempt, and really it should be prevented in some way. It's stupid.
What? Baseball rules allowing wacky things? What?
Yeah, we're going to compensate you for giving a non-serious offer to your best players. We're going to compensate you for being non-competitive in the realm of free agency. Just
bunch
fucking
of geniuses,
stupid.
really are. Sports are fun.
Yeah, as always, MLB. Short on my balls. All right, Corwin, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
I do not.
All right. Well, if you want to follow the show, you can do so at Choosing Pod. We don't post from there very often. So if you'd like to follow Corwin, you can do so at Corwin Heller. If you'd like to follow myself, you can do so at Joshua D. Tracy. If you'd like to send emails to the show, you can do so at juicingthenumbers at gmail.com. Juicingthenumbers at gmail.com. And until Monday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.